South Africa restrains WhatsApp from applying its new privacy policy. Gambia's Electoral Commission to start voter registration in May. And Nigeria's foreign investment inflows significantly declined due to COVID. These and more coming on The World today. Hello, you're watching The World Today News with me, Mariama Cham, and thanks for joining us. The South African Information Regulatory Body is not relenting in its efforts to protect the privacy of South Africans as it restricts WhatsApp from implementing the new privacy policy in the country. The new data policy of the world's most popular social messaging app allows information to be shared with its parent company, Facebook, and other companies, which contravenes the country's privacy protection laws, authority says. However, some social media experts don't believe there is anything sinister about the WhatsApp new initiative. More details in this report.
South Africa's information regulator is not backing down. WhatsApp's new data policy allows information to be shared with parent company Facebook and other companies, which contravenes the country's Protection of Personal Information Act.
With reference to the condition on specific processing and further processing, it seemed as if that there were some issues, in particular there, as well as with aspects relating to retention. You know, we've always been told that a WhatsApp communication is encrypted, it's one way, and it will not be stored. But if you look at the policy, it actually does make provision for certain instances where a message may be intermittently stored, and it doesn't say until when.
WhatsApp is the most popular social messaging app in the world. It does, however, have more favorable policies for European users.
Prima facie, on the face of it, when one looks at the fact that there are two different terms and conditions and policies pertaining either to EU subjects or non-EU subjects, that on the face of it causes concern. They did acknowledge receipt of our correspondence where we've detailed what the issues are. So we are expecting a response within a reasonable time.
The social messaging giant delayed its policy implementation until May following a public outcry. Social media experts, however, don't believe there's anything sinister about the move.
WhatsApp is trying to find ways to actually improve their offering to us as consumers and to be able to then charge businesses for that improvement in offering. So think about this. If you wanted to order food online, instead of having to do it via an app, you could do it within the WhatsApp ecosystem and be able to chat to your delivery service on WhatsApp. But in order for that transaction to happen, WhatsApp now needs to be able to share some of that data with a supplier that you choose to speak with.
South Africans have meanwhile been trying other services, but it's not likely to dent the popularity of the easy-to-use app.
In truth, you do have some WhatsApp consumers maybe testing out Telegram and Signal, but with the lack of enough context and with an unfamiliarity with the ecosystem and a change of new learning, you're still going to find that people default to the platform they know best, to where their network is, and the network is sitting on WhatsApp right now.
WhatsApp has until July to alter its policy to fall in line with South Africa's amended Personal Protection Act. If it fails to comply, there could be hefty penalties to pay.
South African social media experts say nothing is wrong with the WhatsApp new initiative. Now, members of the Gambia's National Assembly have on Monday approved the amendment of Standing Order 70, which deals with citizenship, domestic violence, skin bleaching, among others. Attorney General and Minister of Justice Dauda Jallow said clarifies on the birth registration process that aimed at upholding the 30 days deadline for a newborn baby. Details in this report. Among the approved bills after consideration was the one on births, deaths and marriages, which makes it a duty on parents to register children once they are born to prevent statelessness. Failure of parents to comply with this provision could result to a payment of fine upon conviction. The bill dictates parents and guardians to report the birth of their children to the alcalo, although it does not specify the method in doing so. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice Dauda Jallow emphasized the importance of registration of birth.
The intended purpose is to get the child to get registered. And there are people appointed in each district, health workers, that are in charge of registering birth, the end product of which a birth certificate is issued. So if we make the reporting point to be at the alcalo's position, without this legislation going further as to what will the alcalo do having received those oral, because the law is saying the report can either be written or oral. So if we make the reporting to be at the alcalo's place, what are the follow-ups? Are we now going to obligate the health workers then to go to the alcalos and collect those reports and then, so those details are not there.
He pointed out that the Ministry of Health will have to work on modalities on how the birth registration process should be done. The initial 14-day deadline for parents to have their newborns registered was extended to 30 days, a move well supported by the Minister of Justice.
There is a policy objective behind any legislation. You make it 60 days, parents will relax. And then eventually, we will have a lot of children that may not be registered on time. Children need to be registered at the earliest opportunity.
In the Gambia, birth registration is mandatory according to the Children's Act of 2005, as well as the Births, Deaths and Marriages Registration Act of 1990. It is by law that fathers of children born in wedlock register the birth of their children. However, where the fathers are absent or where the child is born out of wedlock, mothers are given 1 calendar month to register the birth of their children. The registration requires documents from the clinic, written confirmation from the alcalo, or attestation from a district chief. Reporting for iAfrica News, this is Mariama Cham. Lawmakers they approved birth registration from 14 to 30 days. Now, a second warrant officer of the Gambia Armed Forces on Monday confessed to participation in the transportation of 39 migrants that were bound for execution by Jongleurs hitmen. In July 2005, a group of about 50 West African migrants along the River Gambia were allegedly killed by members of the special soldiers under the directives of former President Yahya Jammeh. Fatmata Kasim reports.
The warrant officer to Lamin Silla, who was a convoy driver during Yahya Jammeh's regime, told the TRRC he had been on posting in Kanilai when Tumbul Tamba called him for a patrol without a prior briefing. They headed to the residence of the late Baba Job, from where they began the strange moves.
Then he brought them and put them inside, and he tied them. Then I left the order and I stopped at some point. Then Sanamanjang and others were standing guiding my vehicle. The other vehicle also entered. They did the same thing. They did the same. What is that same thing? The same thing. When they put 4 in my vehicle, they put 4 in the other vehicle. Because Solomon going to coordinate. Because it's Solo who is coordinating it.
Silla saw a no way out from this operation, as the order given was the only law for him. The group went back to Kanilai with 2 vehicles carrying 10 captives each, and then to the bush near a mini stadium.
Because Solomon is a guy like this, must start a fire guy.
When Solo brought these people down, that's the time I saw him start firing.
Well, I'm not confused. Tell me. That must be tell me.
As one, he shot that person fell in the well. And he was crying.
Grenade fire was come.
That's the time they took a grenade and fired on him.
Who did that? Malik.
Malik who?
Jata.
Malik Jata.
A day later, the same sequence of events took place, according to his testimony.
When we reached and Solo told me that the well is here, he said that these people are rebels, we are coming to kill them.
That's the time he dropped them down and started firing on them.
Who was in your batch, in your group this time around?
The same people never. The same people.
Who were they?
Sanamanja Malik Jata and Solo Bojang. Sanamanja Malik Jata and Solo Bojang.
And at this stage, you also knew that these people were going to be killed. Interpretation?
Yes, I knew, because this thing it was so painful, because I know that this what they did to them is not correct.
And they brought them down, and what happened?
So Solo gave orders for them to be shot, and they threw them in the well.
From February 24th to March 11, 2021, witness told the Gambia Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission the West African migrants bound for Europe were held by Jammeh's top lieutenant in security services before being murdered by the Junglers, a notorious paramilitary unit that took its order directly from Jammeh. The TRRC remains the latest hope for a true account of events regarding the killings of the group, from which only one survivor is known. For iAfrica News, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
A soldier of 002 rank confessed participating in the transportation of the West African migrants bound for execution. Now, the African Union has on Sunday lauded a decision by the High Court of Kenya for dismissing a case in which a medical doctor had challenged the prohibition of female genital mutilation. The argument had been that the ban on FGM placed a limit on women's choice and rights to uphold their culture. The court, however, ruled on Wednesday that the practice of FGM violates a woman's right to health, human dignity, and possible interference of right to life. Details in this report. The AU Commission has termed the decision a clear demonstration of the commitment by member states to preserve, protect, and promote women's rights through laws, policies, and action. During the trial and ruling, African Union treaties, conventions, and discrimination against women were referenced to validate the retrogressive nature of FGM and the need to protect women and girls' rights. Female genital mutilation has been a top priority for United Nations agencies and non-governmental organizations for almost 3 decades. The Commission on Human Rights adopted a resolution condemning the practice. UNICEF estimated in 2016 that 200 million women living today in 30 countries, 27 African countries, Indonesia, Iraq, and Yemen have undergone the procedures. The medic, Dr. Tatu Kamau, challenges the constitutionality of the Prohibited of FGM Act, arguing that sections of the Act contravene articles of the Kenyan Constitution. She says stopping women from doing FGM under medical practitioners is denying them right to health care. She claimed to advocate for communities that practice FGM and women jailed for carrying out the right. The judges are not convinced with the arguments put forward by the petitioner and don't think it is justifiable in a modern democratic state. Ms. Victoria Maloka, the AUC Acting Director for Women, Gender and Youth, says the ruling is an enforcement of existing commitments to gender equality, moving from commitments to actions. FGM was officially banned in the Gambia in 2015, but since the enactment of legislation prohibiting the practice, among others, only 49% of women believe that the practice should stop, while the rest believe it needs to continue. In January 2020, the Gambia government and the UN system renewed commitment and accelerated efforts to achieve the SDGs. Part of that commitment is the drive to reduce the FGM prevalence rate in the Gambia from 76% to 0 by 2030. Female genital mutilation or cutting is the cutting of female genitalia or clitoris, usually without the consent of the individual. Razor blades, unsterilized knives, scissors are common instruments used in performing FGM, with a single instrument used on up to 30 girls. One of the cultural and religious reasons for justifying the practice of FGMC is in the reduction of promiscuity and ensuring virginity before marriage. But others argue it deprives women of sexual satisfaction and denies them rights to sexual health and pleasure. Reporting for iAfrica News, this is Mariama Cham. That Kenyan report on FGM will take us to a quick break, and we'll be back with the rest of the news. Stay tuned. Still with the news on the world today. The Gambia's Independent Electoral Commission IEC announced on Monday that they are set for the long-awaited voter registration exercise in late May. In a press release, the electoral body says the exercise will be conducted from 29th May to July 11, 2021 between the daily hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Fatmata Kasim.
According to the statement the Independent Electoral Commission released on Monday, all applicants of the voter's card must present either a birth certificate, national ID card, national passport, or a document certified by the district SAFO, chief, or an alcalo, head of the village, of the birth of the applicant, stating the applicant was born in the district or village. IEC said all claimants must also have or will have attained the age of 18 years by the 4th of December 2021 and must not be disqualified or disentitled from being registered or voting under any law. We gauged the opinion of the United Democratic Party's president of KMC, Nyawuru Koma, and he said the Independent Electoral Commission is playing a double standard.
We hope they will conduct a free and fair election. But looking at the trajectory of what is happening recently, it is raising some eyebrows. Some political parties are giving like a leverage of choosing when and how and when and where to do their congresses, when others were compelled by a certain period that they must do their congress within that confine. They did it, and after some people are given grace period. Still now, some political parties are not even done their congresses. So if people are claiming that, like the NPP, that they are not even 2 years old, why if a political party is not 2 years old and you want to run for presidency, you want to have a flag bearer, and you want to partake in that presidential election, but you don't want to conform to the norms and the values that other political parties went through to organize your own congress as per creed. So you see the double standard we're talking about.
Mr. Koma went ahead to say that he hopes that the IEC will keep the date issued for the voter registration, because if they fail to do so, election will not hold come December.
Anyway, we hope and we anticipate that this new date also will not be going back again. Like you said earlier, we've seen dates been chosen and they've been deferred, they've been postponed, and new dates have been issued. We hope this 29 one will hold, because if it is not on the 29th, I don't think it is feasible for us to have presidential elections in December. But it has to have a period of time when you do the general registration, the revising codes are there. Those are issues that should be addressed. And after the revising codes also, you must have a period of time for the presidential campaign, and the election will be held after that.
The initial date was scheduled for 14 January 2021, but the Commission later suspended it till further notice. Many political parties, including UDP, condemned the Commission for the indefinite postponement of the voter registration ahead of the crucial 2021 election. However, since the announcement of the new date, citizens have expressed delight over it. For iAfrica News, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
Gambia's electoral body is set for voter registration in May 2021. Now, Nigeria's foreign investment inflows have significantly dropped in 2020 thanks to COVID-19 global pandemic, according to country's Bureau of Statistics. The West African nation is faced with its lowest capital importation in 4 years, which has adversely battered the economy. Some economists observe that the inconsistency is largely due to weak economic regulations. More in this report.
The latest report from the Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria received $9.68 billion from capital importation in 2020, representing a 59.6% dip compared to the $23.99 billion recorded in 2019. Among other factors responsible for the decline in foreign investment was the COVID-19 outbreak.
This decline was essentially from COVID-19 because production was not taking place. So if production is not taking place, you cannot have value, increase in value. Even the diaspora remittances even reduced. Nigeria's access to capital reduced. Even our internally generated revenues, as in from crude oil production.
Crippling economic activities and stifling investments also contributed to the decline in capital inflows.
The crude oil sales that could have shored up the supply of forex has also suffered 60% drop in crude oil sales and revenue. So that's a major knock-on effect of a drop in the capital importation.
Nigeria faced one of its worst recessions in 2016, and that was the last time the West African nation recorded such low capital importation at $5.12 billion. The country is just edging out of another recession blamed on COVID-19 and dwindling oil prices. It's dealt a heavy blow on the economy, discouraging foreign investors.
You know, we've had constant rise in our inflation, and they don't like that because it means that if your money is here, by the next 12 months and the inflation is 16%, the value of their money will decline by 16%. So they have to, a combination of all of that is that they have to repatriate their money back, make yourself attractive to foreign people, investors, and then show less policy upturns, which they don't like.
Economic observers have also faulted weak fiscal policies for the unstable economy and decline in capital importation. They expect government to work towards a more predictable investment environment, ensure the ease of doing business in the country, and project sustainable policies that would make Nigeria a choice destination for foreign investors.
That story from Nigeria will bring us to the end of the world today. Gambia 24 is up next. Bye for now.
They say we slept in one world and woke up in another. This global tragedy got humans together despite our social distancing. Our nature is taking a break. And giving us a wake-up call on what and who truly matters. Look around you. Hold on. Breathe. Count your blessings. Take time for self-renewal, for a better start tomorrow. Soon, life will be back. Meanwhile, let's stand apart together, with one heart.
Gambia may be the smallest country in Africa, but it will host the second largest gathering of world leaders in 2022. To successfully host the OIC Summit and put the Gambia on the global stage, the government of the Gambia set up OIC Gambia to mobilize resources for the implementation of key development and infrastructure projects on a scale never seen before. 20 new roads will be constructed across the country, and the Bertel Harding Highway will be expanded into a dual carriage highway of 2 lanes on each side from the airport to Sting Corner. All people in the Gambia deserve clean water and a constant flow of electricity. Therefore, an entirely new water system will be constructed, including new transmission and distribution networks to meet the increasing demand. In order to provide a more reliable supply of electricity, the OIC Gambia project will replace and double the capacity of the NAWEC transformers and overhead electric cables. We will equip the police with modern apparatus and technical training in an effort to keep the streets of the Gambia safe. By building the largest international conference center in the region, a 5-star hotel with state-of-the-art facilities, first-class mobility services, and improving the VVIP experience at the Banjul International Airport, OIC Gambia will position the Gambia as the leading conference destination in West Africa. With our partners in the tourism sector, we will reinforce the preeminent position of our nation, the Smiling Coast, as a go-to destination. The OIC Gambia will create strategic partnerships that calls for the involvement of local talent and businesses as a matter of requirement. In short, OIC Gambia projects will create jobs, boost commerce, accelerate growth, improve the urban outlook and lifestyles of many families across the Gambia. So let's support the OIC Gambia as it prepares us for one of the biggest global events. OIC Gambia, building today for a better tomorrow.